Well, this morning, scientists say that high levels of stress as a teen may come back to bite you later on in life. They're linking that stress to increased risk of heart disease and a lot more.
Here to talk more about that research and its impact is our 9 News medical expert, Dr. Kyle Coley. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
This story hits so close to home for me. It's because I was such a stressed teen. You were saying you're the same way.
Yeah.
I worked at a young age and I put so much pressure on myself. I was never late in the grades and everything. And now I'm worried.
Yeah. Well, it's really nice that they're doing this kind of research because we don't think a lot about stress in our kids and our teenagers. But this research tells us it looks at over 12,000 kids, followed them age 6, age 13, and then age 24. So 18 years of their lives, that there's a legacy effect. What we do as kids and adolescents can actually translate into adverse health problems as adults, especially with respect to our cardiovascular health.
Okay, when it comes to cardiovascular health, what were the effects that we were seeing in teens who had these higher stress levels?
You know, it's crazy, but we saw effects on blood pressure, so their blood pressure tended to be higher. They tended to be more obese and have more body fat, right? Because those stress hormones make us hold on to fat. They had a higher incidence of diabetes, more cholesterol. And even if you looked at their blood vessels started to change and get thicker and started to have plaque developing a lot earlier than the kids that weren't as stressed.
Don't look at my plaque right now. Oh no. So scientifically, why is the health impact of stress so high in teens?
You know, it's a really critical period in our lives, and that's what this study does, is it shines a spotlight on our teenagers, and half of our teenagers say that they're chronically stressed. And to me, that's a huge wake-up call, because this is when our hormones are developing, our body is developing, our growth is happening, our neural development, our psychiatric development. So it's such a critical period. So they think there's sort of two mechanisms by which this happens. One, the teens that are stressed, they probably are more sedentary, they're maybe sitting in front of a computer, they're eating more chips or junk food, you know, just participating in unhealthy behaviors, and then that sort of translates into adverse health outcomes later in life. But the second is that hormonal mechanism, right? When we're stressed, what happens? We release stress hormones. We release cortisol, which again can make us hold on to fat, affects our sleep, affects our immune system, our sugar metabolism. And then at a critical period, that could really translate into bad health outcomes later.
You know, we were talking about the kids, you know, who are sitting in front of the TV and everything, but then there are the overachievers like you two who you had a job, you were worried about your grades, being on time to everything. I'm not talking about myself here because I was never on time to anything. I had good grades and played sports, but that was it. But I mean, this is affecting a lot more people than just the ones sitting at home eating junk food, right?
It is across the spectrum.
Yeah.
And that's what we think, that our kids that are overachievers, that are running around, doing their homework, we think we're doing a great job with that. And what this tells us as parents is that we need to start focusing on stress reduction techniques in our teenage years, not just as adults, but as kids and teenagers, even as 6-year-olds, in fact, we need to think about stress reduction because it can start to really chip away and have an adverse effect. And what we don't know is that what age does that critical period happen? So in my opinion, it's never too early. In fact, there are meditation groups and apps for kids, even 4, 5, 6-year-old kids blowing out birthday candles and such. I did that with my nephew when he was here over the holidays because he was up here with his stress level. He was not falling asleep, and we just did this little meditation together. So I think we really, as parents, need to start paying attention.
Getting them outside and letting kids be kids. You do a great job with that, with your kids.
It's such a fine line, though, to walk, right? Because these days, there's so much pressure to have your kids do every sport and every activity and every musical instrument, and you're going, and that is not always the right idea.
Right.
That's a fine line.
That relaxation time, that reset time, that's how our bodies were designed.
Yeah.
And we've sort of gotten away from it as a result of our society.
Well, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We appreciate it, Dr. Coley. Thanks for coming in.